Oh my god, Becky, look at her butt. It is so big. She looks like one of those rap guys' girlfriends. Who understands those rap guys? They only talk to her because she looks like a total prostitute, okay?
Hello, and welcome to your Daily Strength Coach Podcast, Episode 4. AMRAMP. You get sprung. How's it going, guys and girls? Hopefully our girl listening to this. This is Mark, bringing you the 4th episode of your Daily Strength Coach Podcast. Today's date is the 26th of June 2015. It is currently 9 minutes to 9. I've just got in from work. Spent an 11-hour day, which is always fun. Today's question comes from Michael Cowan, a new addition to the comments section of my videos. How's it going, Michael? Appreciate the positive comments on the training videos. Always good to see. Michael is saying, question, what do you think about doing AMRAPS on the last set? Every week I've been doing it. Find I've made some good PRs, but feel pretty drained as I feel I'm trying to force progress. Cheers. Well, to be honest, Michael, you've pretty much answered your own question there. This is like, AMRAPS is something that you keep in your back pocket, really. It's probably better to use it in more of a targeted manner. So like a nice aggressive 5-week program where you're building up to a new personal best. It's an approach I know that the likes of Ed Cohen and Kirk Kowalski and whatnot would use it. They would probably use it over like a 10-week block. They would have the meat targets in their head, so they knew what squat they wanted to do, what bench they would want to do, and what deadlift they would want to do. And what they would do is they would work backwards 2 weeks. So Ed Cohen is a perfect example. He'd do 2 weeks of 10s, and by the second week of 10, he would know what he would want to hit for a set of 10 to be on target for his target. Targets for his target. Weeks 3 and 4, he would do 2 sets of 8. Second week of 8 would be the weight that he needed to be on track. Again, 2 sets of 6, week 5 and 6. Again, the second week being a heavy set of 6, where if he hits that heavy set of 6, he knows, or those multiple heavy sets of 6, he knows he's in the ballpark or he's on target, and so on and so forth. That you get on to triples and doubles. Along that path. So the easy one to look at would be something like a 200 kilo squat. Let's say you want to hit a 200 kilo squat, and you wanted to use a fairly aggressive approach. You take a 5-week targeted program. You would do 3 sets of 10 at 75% of that goal. That 75% is your 10 repetition maximum for that goal. So if you can do 1 set of 10 and put it in a rep calculator, it's fairly spurious. It's not really likely you're going to hit that target. But if you hit that for multiple sets, it's a lot more likely you're going to hit that target. So if you do 3 sets of 10, 150 kilos, in a session, it's a lot more likely you can squat, bench, deadlift 200 or shoulder press it or whatever if you can make that workout. And it's going to become a lot more accurate the further you work down the cycle. So on week 2, you'll be looking at 78% for 8 reps. So 78.5%, that's your 8 repetition maximum. If you can hit 3 sets of that, you're on course. Week 3, 3 sets of 6 at 83.5%. Again, exact same thing. If you can hit those 3 sets of 6, you're on course. Then you move to 4s. 4s are 88%, and then 3s are done on 90%. If you can make that 5-week cycle, I'd back you to make that lift. Now, what you're looking at with AMRAPS is you're pretty much looking at sets to failure, open-ended sets to failure that aren't necessarily targeted. So you can get into the sort of scenario, especially in a program like 531, where you are actually handling weights that are way below a threshold where you should be even entertaining that kind of training. So what you'll end up with, like the first week of 531, you'll often get into 15, 16 reps. It is unnecessary to do that amount of reps. Like it's not a bad training experience for some people. It can bring in mental toughness, whatnot. But what it does, every time you go to failure like that, or you go near failure like that, you're producing a large systematic stress in the body. Now this does promote rapid progress if you give enough recovery time. So the 5-3-1 program is good for that because it will give you ample recovery time. You get a week off between each bout of that lift done to near failure. And I know Jim Wendler will probably say it's within 2 reps of failure, but that's it's neither here nor there in my opinion, to be honest. You're training towards that end. You're putting a large system stress on the body, and it's always a near maximal system stress, if not maximal system stress, even if it's not done with like a maximal weight, as in you're lifting on 1 RM. You can still induce a maximal stress on the body with a 16 rep weight. As anyone who's done the 20 rep squat program will attest to, you can vomit and feel really sick for a couple of days after a really, really heavy 20 rep squat session. You don't have to be lifting 1 RMs to like induce a lot of fatigue. There's some really easy ways of doing it as well, and lifting to failure is a real quick one of doing it, especially on whole body lifts like squat and deadlift. It's not necessarily something you don't want to do. It needs to be put in your program correctly, in my opinion. It's not really a strategy you can base a program off, and I know a lot of people have a lot of success with 5-3-1 as a program, but people like that having success with programs doesn't necessarily mean it's a good program. I know that's going to sound counterintuitive to some people, but when you're in a certain level of development, beginner, intermediate, even some lesser trained, sub-elite advanced people who aren't used to volume training, or who maybe are used to volume training and never done the kind of AMRAMP program before, or like near failure program before, will get really quick marked gains off it. And the way 5-3-1 works, you're constantly undercooking yourself, so you never really hit the point where you're kind of stalling. I don't know if people do stall in the program, but it's kind of set up in a way where it's they're really reasonably difficult to stall. Where I think you're much better spending your time is actually just working volumes, working like in a percentage range. Look at like Shilko stuff as an idea of what I think is a more productive way of working. It gives you much more chance to master the lift. If you're doing you're effectively only really doing one set of work and squat on a 5-3-1 program, because you're really, that's only it's 85% of your 90% of your 1 RM, so it's realistically like a 75-78% working load. So that's quite a moderate working load to start with, and you're just doing one set, repping out with it. It's not really a meaningful load to practice with. Where if you do something like Shilko, where you might do 3 squat sessions in a week, all with moderate weights to begin with, you're going to get a lot of time to practice the movement, and that's how you're going to get your technique going. Probably more so on the concentric eccentric lifts like the bench and the deadlift, the bench and the squat. Deadlift's a bit of a different beast. Sometimes that deadlift does respond quite well to kind of AMRAMP programming. Well, I think AMRAMP has a bit more of a place in your program is what you might term like a sprint. Something like the DC training, I know it was based off steroid use, but when you blast and cruise, blast is when you're training really heavy, and then cruise is when you're taking it easy. You don't have to do anabolics to take those principles on board. All you need to do is you need to take like a 3-week sprint period where you do like a volume backed up by an AMRAMP. So let's say a cycle that I've used in a couple of free programs before was 5 sets of 5, 75% rep out in the last one, week 1. Week 2, 5 sets of 4, 80% rep out in the last set. 5 sets of 3, 85% rep out in the last set. Some people have used that program to get really, really quick gains. However, they probably don't want to run that program too many cycles in a row because you're probably going to run into the ground. So you probably want to do like a 3-week cycle or something like that, or a 5-3-1 or something similar, backed up by maybe a 4-week period of like a lighter training period. So like a 60 to 70% period, 4 sets of 6, and just working on grooving the movements and kind of recovering, and then come into another sprint phase. What you'll find is if you do the volume work beforehand, you'll get much better results out of your rep outs. Recently I've had, as an example, one of the guys I train was doing sub-maximal volume training. He would probably get into like a heavy set and rep scheme on the third week of a 4-week block. And he recently did 162 kilos in the squat for 7 reps. Probably had 11, 12 reps in him, but I didn't have a spotter, so I didn't go on. His 5RM previous to that was... His 3RM previous to that was 165 kilos. So you can see there's a lot of scope for gain if it's kind of done properly. But yeah, my advice would be stop AMRAPing so much. Take an easier period of training and then look to use like AMRAP programs sporadically in your training, like targeted. So maybe 3 weeks of AMRAP, 4 weeks of volume, 3 weeks of AMRAP, 4 weeks of volume. I think you'll get much, much better traction with that approach. I'd probably even look at like maybe a 8-week volume approach with like a lighter volume period of 4 weeks, a heavier volume period of 4 weeks, and then an AMRAP. Or you could do a heavier volume period to kind of get an overload, a lighter volume period of 4 weeks to kind of get a little bit of a down, and then when you're feeling fresh, you can hit the AMRAP. It kind of depends how you feel. Different strategies work for different lifters. That's half the fun. Okay, so that'll conclude this episode. I think it probably overran quite a bit. No, 11 minutes. Overran slightly, but probably one of the more natural episodes so far. Hope you've enjoyed it. Okay, so this is going to be Monday through Friday, so I'll see you guys again on Monday. Shoot me a comment. I'm probably going to record a few of them on the weekend. So if you get some questions or comments in for the next couple of episodes, maybe next 2-3 comments, I'll start off with Jean's last one about the program breakdown. It's going to take a bit of reading, but we'll hit it up. Hopefully not running the 20 minutes on that one. Until next time, this has been your Daily Strength Coach weekday podcast. This is Mark, castironstrength.com, bbmachine.org, and soon to be of youronlinestrengthcoach.com. Signing off. Until next time, goodbye.